From the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old mannered comic shop owner, Colin McMahon, transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us true believers for Comics Now!
Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for July 2023. Well, summer is officially here. We're having storms, we're having sun, we're having heat, we're having cold. It's chaos in July. But, just to remind you, the summer events are starting. DC has their big Night Terrors event. Marvel has a ton of stuff going on. Even Image has a big event coming. So, that's going on. Plus, we have tons of stuff to read, whether you're sitting on the sofa, sitting on the porch, sitting by the pool, or sitting on a beach. We have all sorts of good stuff for you to read to take your mind off reality. So, for book club this month, we are doing our first ever Volume 2. Shirtless Bear Fighter was such a hit that the group decided they really want to do Shirtless Bear Fighter 2. So on Friday, July 28th at 7 o'clock, we will be discussing Shirtless Bear Fighter 2. And our focus this month is going to be on Jonathan Hickman. Ultimate Invasion just started. He's got a lot of stuff going on in the Marvel Universe. So we're going to spotlight all the Jonathan Hickman graphic novels, all the stuff he has done over the years. So come and check out the display Tim put together and see what's going on. So there is a ton of stuff out this month. So I'm going to get right to it. And we're going to start with DC. DC Comics, it is the Summer of Night Terrors. For July and August, they're doing the big event, Night Terrors. So, just a brief summary. The Summer of Night Terrors begins. Night Terrors takes over DC's publishing line this July and August, headlined by a terrifying 4-issue series written by Josh Williamson with art by Howard Porter and Gilliam March. The story starts as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman discover the dead body of one of their earliest enemies at the Hall of Justice. Their investigation takes them past the land of the living, beyond the land of the dead, and into a realm of nightmares. The only way to save the world is to call for the help of an unlikely hero, Deadman. So that's basically the summary of Night Terror's First Blood #1. And that's where Night Terror starts, and then it's going through every DC book. We have Night Terrors #1, which is Josh Williamson and Giuseppe Camuncoli. Hello, ghouls and ghosts. This is Boston Brand, a.k.a. Deadman, and I'll be your supernatural tour guide across the Night Terror stories. After that fancy special oversized issue you have to read first, the whole world is trapped inside their nightmares. And Batman and I are trying to figure out who Insomnia really is and why he wants revenge on the heroes of the DC universe. In Night Terror's Batman, also Josh Williamson, and this one's Gilliam March drawing it. Ever since becoming Batman, Bruce Wayne has been a creature of the night. He transformed himself into a symbol that gave the criminals of Gotham nightmares. But now, trapped in the nightmare realm, Bruce is stalked by a horror he's created. Can he escape before his own nightmares pull him deeper into the darkness? We have Detective Comics, which is written by Dan Waters, drawn by Riccardo Federici. Jim Gordon stumbles upon a sacred ritual held by 3 disciples chanting around an enchanted clock, and one of them is wearing the robotic bat suit that he donned many years ago as Batman. Except this metal suit seems to have soldered directly into the flesh of the wearer. What do these creatures want with Gotham, and why are they targeting Jim's daughter Babs, too? This has to be a dream, right? Or perhaps it's a nightmare, but if you die in it, you can die in real life as well. We also have Night Terror's Nightwing, written by Becky Cloonan. Pigs, 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 and clowns. Dick Grayson wakes up in jail to realize a nightmare has come to life. He murdered someone he loves, and the only thing to make it worse is his past coming to haunt him in the form of humanoid pigs playing the characters of his childhood at Haley Circus, scene by scene leading up to the night of his parents' death. The Batgirls try to help Nightwing figure out who framed him or why he killed someone, but it's his cellmate and other unlikely villains in jail who will help him solve the mystery. But are they actually helping him? We also have a Poison Ivy book written by G. Willow Wilson. Night Terror's Catwoman, Teenie Howard and Layla Lays. Forgive me, sister, for I have sinned. I murdered Valmont, the man I love, in order to save the man I loved. Batman, who will never forgive me for breaking his one rule. But please forgive me, Sister Zero, for this nightmare realm you've put me in as penance, from which I can't seem to wake up, is my Catholic guilt come to life, in the form of your rotting disciples taking my soul. Sister Maggie, if you're still somewhere in there, forgive me and let me save us in the nightmare realm in order to save us in real life. That is, unless we should die before we wake. There's also a Harley Quinn one that has a really complicated, confusing description I'm going to skip. We also have Night Terrors The Joker. Now, this is written by Matthew Rosenberg. The Joker's worst nightmare becomes a reality. He's got a day job. How will he handle meetings that could have been emails? Why did management cancel Bring Your Child to Work Day? Who will want to make small talk at the coffee machine? What is Alexis going to pick for lunch? And who is the masked madman terrorizing Gotham at night? We also have Night Terrors Robin. It's Robin versus Nightmare Robin. When the two Bat brothers get taken into the nightmare realm, Jason Todd and Tim Drake must fight against their worst fears and each other as they are forced to relive the darkest moments of their lives. We also have Night Terrors Superman by Josh Williamson and Tom Riley. What does the Man of Steel have nightmares about? Clark Kent knows why he's been pulled into the nightmare realm and goes in search of his family and friends. But that journey takes him to the haunted nightly planet, where he is confronted by the Super Reaper. In the waking world, Superman was mid-flight when he was hit by the nightmare wave. Where he crash lands will surprise you. Night Terrors Action Comics, Leah Williams and Philip Kennedy Johnson. Slipping into the world of nightmares is only the beginning, as Power Girl faces off against the scariest dream of all, herself. Paige may have narrowly escaped the grasp of the devious Johnny Sorrow, but all of that was just a warm-up for the real villains inside. Meanwhile, the Super Twins are lost in a terrifying dreamscape and being hunted by a nightmare version of their adopted father, the murderous cyborg Superman. Can Superboy, Kong Keenan, and the Steel family find the twins in time to save them, or will they join his bloody list of victims? We have Night Terrors The Flash by Alex Pocknadel. After the Flash family freed Barry Allen from the dimension Pariah locked him in, the Scarlet Speedster was able to return home for some quality time with Iris and his other loved ones. But after the world is plunged into the nightmare realm, Barry's trapped in a different cage, and he'll have to find a way out on his own. And also Night Terrors Wonder Woman. After investigating an alarming intrusion at the now-defunct Hall of Justice, Wonder Woman and her unexpected new ally, Detective Chimp, suddenly find themselves in a world where their worst nightmares come to life. Who could possibly defeat these things that go bump in the night? The Justice League Dark. The Amazon princess reunites with her old team to save the world from a sweet dream turned into a beautiful nightmare. Plus, Queen Nubia finds herself trapped in the Well of Souls. Night Terrors Titans. This is Andrew Conson and Scott Godlowski. The kids are not all right. After plummeting into the nightmare realm, the remaining members of the Titans come face to face with a fever dream turned reality. The Terror Titans. These warped versions of our heroes are prepared to do anything to become the next Justice League, even kill. Then in Night Terrors Shazam, Mark Waid and Roger Cruz. Of all Earth's heroes, Billy Batson is the only one in double danger, because he and the Captain are each haunted by their own set of nightmares. And if the world's mightiest mortal can't survive his own fears, what chance does the rest of the Shazamily have? We also have Night Terrors Green Lantern, Jeremy Adams writing this. Back in space to face his greatest fear. Something is wrong in Sector 2814, and Hal Jordan, Kilowog, and a few other Lanterns must find the mysterious disturbance, despite a ban on any of Earth's Green Lanterns leaving their world. What they discover is a planet controlled by a familiar face, the face of Hal's greatest fear. And in a backup story, Sinestro finds himself thrust into a new reality that drags him into the darkest corners of his past, and perhaps his future. Night Terrors Black Adam. Black Adam is defending Kahndaq from a border assault when the deadly nightmare wave sweeps the planet, putting all men, women, and children into the nightmare realm, including the fierce monarch. But what are his deepest, darkest nightmares? What horror can put fear into the heart of Black Adam? And we have Black Adam Angel Breaker, who's not a real well-known character. This is written by Tim Seeley. Deep in the abandoned Cobra safe house is a device able to access the dream powers of John Dee, a.k.a. Dr. Destiny. As heroes across the world succumb to nightmares, Angel Breaker wants it. Now to infiltrate a hall of horrors, she'll need help from a professional thief, the man known as Raptor. But Angel Breaker and Raptor aren't exactly friends. Can the mysterious Merc trust a man who feels nothing but grudges as the strange pair encounter a horror as old as the Coda Sisterhood and even more dangerous? While the world sleeps, Angel Breaker might be the final girl still awake. Zatanna returns in Night Terrors. Zatanna, one of the last people awake on Earth, must defend her unconscious allies Wonder Woman and Detective Chimp from Insomnia's sleepless nights, led by their horrifying sleepless queen. But outnumbered Zatanna can't do it alone. She used her magic to summon any champion that is still awake, which puts her in an unlikely team-up with one of the world's most strangest superheroes, the unstoppable Doom Patrol's Robot Man. Punchline gets a special, as does Ravager. Now to some new number ones coming from DC. We have a new Hawkgirl series. Kendra Saunders, the winged warrior better known as Hawkgirl, has been one of the DCU's greatest heroes for a long time, serving as a member of both Justice League and the Justice Society. But when the Justice League disbanded, Kendra decided she needs a fresh start and heads to Metropolis to begin a new life. That life is quickly interrupted by a mysterious villain with a powerful connection to the nth metal that makes up Hawkgirl's wings and weapons. A brand new adventure with sky-high action, adventure, and intrigue. We have new World's Finest Teen Titans. This is by Mark Waid and Emmanuel Lupacchino. Spinning out of Batman Superman World's Finest comes a modern retelling of the early adventures of the original Teen Titans. Led by Robin the Boy Wonder, a new super team has burst onto the scene. Meet the Teen Titans, DC's grooviest group filled with super teens with super problems. When they're not fighting alongside their Justice League mentors, they're managing their image and cultivating the rabid fan base that helps them save the world. As all the while, a danger from the shadows intends to tear these friends apart before they ever reach the big time. We also have Tales of the Titans. This is by Shannon and Dean Hale. The Titans have stepped up, become the DCU's premier superhero team, and all eyes are on them. Who are Starfire, Raven, Donna Troy, and Beast Boy? Where do they come from, and what do they stand for? All will be revealed in Tales of the Titans, an all-new series of spotlight issues in the spirit of the beloved 1980s classic Tales of the New Teen Titans. First up is alien princess and warrior Starfire, whose huge heart, huger hair, and fiery fists have made her a fan-favorite member of the team. When a spaceship bearing Tamaranian markings crash lands on Earth, Starfire goes on a solo mission to uncover its origins. But what awaits her on that journey will bring her back to the earliest days of her youth, to memories of two sisters eternally at war, and perhaps the chance to keep history from repeating itself. We also have a new Batman Beyond book, Neo-Gothic. Harley Quinn, they're doing Black, White, and Redder, a sequel to her Black, White, and Red little anthology. We also have a new one. It's a Black Label book, Superman, The Last Days of Lex Luthor. This is written by Mark Waid with art by Brian Hitch. Superman learns Lex Luthor is dying, and he wants the Man of Steel to help him find the cure for whatever is causing his rapid decline. While the world wants to say good riddance to Luthor, Superman will go to the ends of the universe through different dimensions and across time to save his foe. But just why does he want to save the person who's spent his life trying to destroy him? And how will he even be able to find the solution? We have a follow-up to the Sandman universe, Dead Boy Detectives. They're doing a special Thessaly issue. And that's the end of DC. Now on to what's new from Marvel Comics. In July from Marvel Comics, we got a lot of neat stuff. Starting off, Amazing Spider-Man 31. This is a special oversized issue. It's the wedding of the year. Peter Parker is the best man, and Tombstone is walking the bride down the aisle. We also have Fallen Friend #1, which is going to be a mourning issue for the death of Ms. Marvel, which happened last month. We also have Marvel Age 1000, one of their big giant-sized books. This massive commemorative issue includes contributions from some of the most storied creators in Marvel history, as well as a few surprises, as the classic days of Marvel are explored in depth. We also have a new Blade series starting. This is by Brian Hill and Elena Casagrande. Marvel's slickest vampire hunter returns in a brand new series. True evil is patient, and a dark, ancient power has been simmering quietly for centuries. And when Blade himself is the one to unknowingly unleash it, Marvel's entire supernatural underworld will come out of hiding to demand he handle it, or pay a pound of flesh for his mistakes. We have a bunch of facsimile editions this month. We get a Hulk 180 and 181 to celebrate the first appearance of Wolverine. We're getting an X-Men 101, which is the first appearance of Phoenix. And we also get an all-new Marvel .1 facsimile edition, which is It includes the first appearance of Ms. Marvel. You have a Moon Knight miniseries, City of the Dead, the debut of the new Scarlet Scarab. When a young runaway is attacked by a gang of death cultists, he is left barely alive outside the Midnight Mission. But Mark Spector made a vow long ago to defend the travelers of the night, and as long as a spark of life remains, his mission isn't over yet. Follow Moon Knight on his most harrowing adventure yet as the Fist of Khonshu journeys far beyond the land of the living and battles across the mind-bending underworld known as the City of the Dead. We also have Captain America 750. After the harrowing events of Cold War, the Captains America return home to mourn their fallen and strive to honor the power of legacy. We also have Captain Marvel Deep Tempest. After facing off against the Brood with the X-Men and losing someone she holds dear, Carol Danvers needs a break. She's not about to get it now. A slinky new cosmic threat comes for Earth's mightiest, and they know just who to recruit to really wreck Carol's world. A surprise legacy villain. We have a new What If series starting up. The first one it's What If Dark is the theme, and the first one is Spider-Gwen, written by Jerry Conway. What if Gwen Stacy didn't die on the bridge that day, but Spider-Man did? We also have a Loki What If written by Walt Simonson. He returns to his illustrious run on Thor, but this time Loki's in charge. This is a neat one. X-Men Days of Future Past Doomsday, written by Mark Guggenheim. Return to the future in a tale that reveals the events leading up to the timeless original Days of Future Past story that's inspired spin-offs, films, and more. In a world where mutants are more than simply hated and feared, but not yet slain and apprehended, the assassination of Senator Kelly comes to pass, bringing with it the Mutant Control Act and Sentinels on every quarter. But with mutant kind on the back foot, what lengths will Kate Pryde and the rest of the X-Men go to in order to find some way to survive? And what scheme of Magneto will bring about their ultimate doomsday? Witness the 30-year descent into dystopic future, replete with the previously untold deaths of key mutant characters as we flesh out one of the most celebrated X-Men timelines in its own series for the first time. We also have the X-Men Hellfire Gala 2023. Jerry Dugan's writing this one. The Fall of X begins here. The Hellfire Gala is always the biggest event of the season, but this year's will change everything for Krakoa. What is meant to be Mutantkind's biggest night becomes their biggest nightmare as the Fall of X begins. All of your favorite X-Men are going to be left reeling after this one. Shocking revelations, stunning betrayals, horrifying tragedy, impossible deaths, and of course the most glamorous looks of the year, all in one cannot-miss package. We also have X-Men Before the Fall Sinister 4, written by Kieran Gillen. As the 19th century drew to a close, the dying Nathaniel Essex unleashed 4 clones of himself into the world. They've been haunting it ever since while lurking in the shadows. We know what Sinister has been up to. What about the others? We also have Web of Carnage #1. As Cletus Cassidy exacts his vengeance on an unsuspecting city and carnage reigns across the Marvel Universe, the Carnage symbiote remains left on its own devices, adrift among the stars. With its purpose renewed after the death of the Venomverse, Carnage has scant few hurdles between it and the glorious ascension to the throne of the King in Black. Thor has an annual when MODOK, fueled by revenge and a refusal to ever again be someone else's pawn, seizes control of all of the 10 realms but Asgard. Thor the Allfather must step in and regain control of the 10 realms and the World Tree. But MODOK's new cosmic power proves to be a greater threat than Thor could imagine, and he'll need the inspiration of some beloved friends from Midgard to reclaim his realm and his awesome power. We also have a new Star Wars book, Dark Droids, written by Charles Soule. Who or what is the Scourge, and why is no droid safe? As a corruption spreads from one droid to the next, the Rebellion and the Empire face chaos. And then the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi is back for a Rebellion one-shot special. And now for the best of the rest. First, from Image Comics, we have a bunch of new ones. First one is Big Game. This is by Mark Millar and Pepe Larraz. This book is going to bring in all of Mark Millar's stories and books into one big super event. So you're going to get from Wanted, The Kingsman, Kick-Ass, Nemesis, the Magic Order, everything is going to come together in this one giant book. So this is going to be really something, especially if you're a big fan of Mark Millar and his Millerverse books. We also have Fish Flies, new one from Jeff Lemire. When a brutal and violent crime puts the life of an innocent teenage boy in the balance, it sets off a chain of events in bucolic Bell River, Ontario, that will permanently change several residents' lives. And as the manhunt heats up, a lonely girl named Franny Fox will form an unlikely friendship with a fugitive that leads them on an odyssey of discovery and redemption. We also have, I think the title's longer than the book, the unbelievably, unfortunately, mostly unreadable, and nearly unpublishable Untold Tales of I Hate Fairyland. This is a 5-issue anthology series featuring untold tales based on I Hate Fairyland, with stories written and drawn by a stellar lineup of creators. We have new Antarctica #1. Stargate meets His Dark Materials in a new nonstop sci-fi action blockbuster. Hannah's life imploded the day her father failed to return from the secretive Smith-Peterson research station in Antarctica. Alone and on the street, she's at her lowest ebb when a friend offers help. Retrained as an engineer, Hannah secures a job at the same Antarctic station to search for her father and stumbles headfirst into a conspiracy that threatens everything she's ever believed. We have Per Evil. This is Mirka Andolfo. There is no escaping the mewing evil. Rita loves her daughter Deb, and a dark evil from her past threatens the lives of anyone who gets too close to it. Can the bond between two women overcome a life built on blood and lies? And what secret is lurking in the Morondo family's family apartment? We also have one Scrapper. Blade Runner-style action mixes with big emotions as a stray dog Scrapper and his buddy Tank fight for justice against the totalitarian forces of a post-apocalyptic domed city. But when the fight comes home, Scrapper will face losing what's most important to him and gain a terrifying truth in the process. We also have Swan Songs. This is by W. Maxwell Prince, who does Ice Cream Man, and Martin Simmons, who's been drawing Department of Truth. Swan Song comprises stories about endings: the end of the world, the end of a marriage, the end of a sentence, the end of the world. We also have This Ends Tonight, kind of fitting, by Jerry Duggan and Jay Lee. Action-packed 3-story limited series which tells interconnected stories of violence and mayhem in Las Vegas. We have one weird work by Shaky Kane. The hard-boiled noir of LA Confidential mixes with the bright, alien-filled worlds of Futurama in this crime epic. Following months of gang shootings, Detective Aura Sauce is paired with a new partner on a triple homicide. But what were a billionaire's assistant, a hood-turned-cult leader, and Sauce's former partner doing in that warehouse? We also have Impact Winter Rook, based on an audiobook from Audible. Hundreds of years before the comet hit Earth and created a cold, dark world ruled by vampires, a wandering Roman centurion saved a woman from being sacrificed by druids. Honor-bound to return her to her homeland, Rook embarked on a journey across ancient Britain, where all manner of human and inhuman creatures dwelled, but none more dangerous than the demon he'd sworn himself to. Now on to Boom Studios. We have Sirens of the City #1. This is by Joanne Starr and Kari Randolph. New York City, 1980s. Runaway teen Layla struggles to survive on the mean streets far from home. But now every supernatural creature from the darkest corners of the urban grime is after Layla, and her child-to-be she never wanted growing inside her. We have Berserker has a new one-shot, Poetry of Madness, written by Keanu Reeves and drawn by Steve Skroce. A sea of gore and devastation awaits as B, through a fateful chance encounter, safeguards the advanced and ancient realm of Atlantis as its unstoppable protector. But a sickly king serves as a symbol for the rot inside, as the security and bliss created through B's violence is shallow. The cracks created by a secret cult might spell a monstrous end for the legendary city, one beyond even B's ability to save. We also have Alice Ever After continues in Alice Never After by Dan Panosian. And Power Rangers Unwanted Hyperforce is celebrating the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers and brings the Hyperforce Rangers from screen to page. Dynamite is bringing us a new Red Sonja #1, written by Torin Grobik and drawn by Walter Giovanni. The she-devil finds herself on the run, framed for murder, and with an unseen force tugging at the back of her mind. Join Sonya and she races to unravel the mystery of his master's voice. This brand new series dives deep into Sonya's world, exploring the darkness of Hyboria like never before. We also have Gargoyles Dark Ages. In this brand new series, Gargoyles creator Greg Weisman returns to the long-lost era when humans and gargoyles lived in harmony. But in a world ruled by superstition and the sword, monsters come in all shapes and sizes. Forces of evil from both outside and within are threatening to destroy this precarious peace, with consequences that will reverberate down through the centuries and into the present day. Titan has gotten the license to Conan the Barbarian and are starting their own new series there. Years after the Battle of Venarium, a weary Conan returns to his homeland to seek rest and solitude. However, a mysterious scout rides in to warn the Cimmerians of an imminent threat on the march from the Pictish wilderness. Will Conan and his new ally be able to hold off this new horde of invaders? We also have a new Doctor Who book, Once Upon a Time Lord, written by Dan Slott, and another one, Doomsday, written by Jodie Hauser. Dark Horse has some new ones. We have one Barnstormers by Scott Snyder and Tula Lotay. It's 1918, in the early days of the barnstorming era, when pilots competed with each other by performing deadlier and more wondrous feats, as we've never seen it before. Pilot John Barron is back on the front lines of war where he was injured. At 18 years old, he's an adventurer who lives his life traveling from town to town in his plane, entertaining folks across the country, most of whom have never seen a car, let alone a plane. His world changes when he meets Helen, a young woman who shares his passion for aviation and adventure. We also have a new Gru series, Gru in the Wild, and new in Panya, the Mummy's Curse. Thousands of years before Hellboy, the BPRD, and Ragnarok, there was Panya. As a girl in ancient Egypt, she witnessed the fall of a dynasty and was gifted, or cursed, with visions of the beginning, the end, and the coming of the dragon. IDW has a big one that they've been pushing, Hunger and Dusk by G. Willow Wilson. Experience love on the brink of extinction. In a dying world, only humans and orcs remain, mortal enemies battling for territory and political advantage. But when a group of fearsome ancient humanoids known as the Vangol arrive from across the sea, the two struggling civilizations are forced into a fragile alliance to protect what they have built. We also get a new Rocketeer book, In the Den of Thieves by Stephen Mooney. The Rocketeer is grounded after Cliff and Betty's adventure in Europe. He and Betty return home with a busted jetpack and a fully repaired relationship. But paradise doesn't last long. An elite band of Nazis, foiled in the past by their attempts to construct their own jetpacks, decide on a new tactic, kidnapping Cliff's beloved friend and mentor, Peavy. We also have Star Trek Day of Blood is starting here, written by Christopher Cantwell. Immortal Emperor of the Klingon Empire, Kallus II, has consolidated power, raided ancient tombs and secret bunkers, taken the power of the gods for himself, stolen the Bajoran orb of destruction, and commenced a slaughter across the stars. But this genocide of gods was just the beginning. For with the power he has stolen, Kallus is about to declare war on all those who do not follow his red path. The crew of Icons, led by the emissary known as Benjamin Sisko, and the renegades who follow Worf, must unite for a common cause. Only they can hope to stop the Day of Blood. We have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover you never thought you'd see. They're crossing over with Stranger Things. 11 Max, Dustin, Mike, Will, and Lucas are looking forward to a non-threatening, fun-filled trip to New York City. With the gang hundreds of miles from Hawkins, they're sure to catch a break this time. That is, until they encounter a threat both bizarre and familiar, and some allies that are just bizarre. Ahoy has a new one called Con and On by Paul Cornell. Follow an ensemble cast of media pros and fans down through the decades of America's most colossal comic book convention. Meet Eddie and Deja, aspiring comic talent whose ambitions threaten to tear their friendship apart. Anthony, Don, and Finn, brilliant, boozy, bombastic British creators, and all of the crusty editors, forgotten TV stars, and enthusiastic fans who make up the convention experience memorable year after year. AWA has a new one from Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows called The Ribbon Queen. There is something ancient and terrible loose in the world of men. New York police detective Amy Sun has a problem. 3 years ago, a young woman was rescued from a serial killer by a police tactical unit. Now she's dead, and Amy has a bad feeling that the SWAT team leader is responsible. As she investigates the corrupt cabal within her own precinct, Detective Sun soon discovers that there's something else on their trail, a force of vengeance older than the human race itself has awoken, and it's out for the blood of the guilty, who soon find themselves suffering a fate more gruesome than anything they could have dreamed. The Ribbon Queen has come to New York City, and Amy is not all that certain that it should be stopped. Mad Cave has a new one, Under the Influence. A teenage sociopath, Paul Kozak, has accidentally created an internet cult called the Hot Dog Party. When a prank turns deadly, the FBI sends an undercover agent, Kara Cole, to investigate and infiltrate their ranks. Now Kara battles against real stakes, fake news, and memes in a character-driven story about power structures and the communities you build. Vault has a new one called Unnatural Order. After the fall of the Britons and the Roman invasion of Hibernia, the captive known only as the Druid is released, sending a darkness across the world. An age of horrors, of fire and entrails. As the innocent burn in the wicker fields, those who would resist learn of the existence of a man who even the Druid fears. For it is this prisoner, a soldier from a different time, who alone knows the Druid's secret. This is not how the world is supposed to be. And finally, we have one from Whatnot called Crashdown. Equal parts lost and alien with a Lovecraftian twist, Crashdown delivers a dark vision of our world's final days. The Earth is dead. Humanity's last hope is the distant planet Empyrean and the ship full of colonists, ready to repopulate our civilization. But what happens when their new home doesn't want them there and it fights back? So that's everything that's coming out in July. Well, not everything, but all the new stuff that's coming. Your regular series are still continuing, except for DC, who's taking a little break to do Night Terrors. So if you have any questions, please reach out. We're always here. The website's pittsburghcomics.com. Facebook is Pittsburgh Comics. Twitter and Instagram are PGH Comics. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for Comic Previews Theater. See ya.
Norman, we hear you want to do the right thing. Eddie. Say the name. Say it, Dylan. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with us both. Admit it. Shut up. Osborn deserved to die. We both knew it, but you said no. Because of it, wasn't him you wanted to kill. So say the name.
Not me. Then...
Fine. You want the name? The name is Eddie Brock. I want to kill Eddie Brock. There, I said it out loud. Happy? Was that meant to be therapeutic? I am a symbiote, Dylan. It's my nature to want a healthy host. Especially given the task before us. Right, using my power, the power of the Codex, to free symbiotes from Dad's control. Or from any other Kings in Black. Building a hit squad of symbiotes, separated from the Hive. As long as we know what we're building it for. A rescue mission. Wherever Eddie is, whatever he's caught in, we're getting him back. It's okay to feel the way, do you, Dylan? I know what it's like to want to kill the one who brought you into this world. But that's not what we're building the symbiote squad to do, is it? Is it, Dylan?
Ah! Help! Monster!
It came from this way, and it's not just any monster they're screaming about. I smell a Clintar. But not one I know. Could be a new recruit? I don't know. It looks weird, like a robot. Sort of. Could be like a Life Foundation experiment. Or even Dad again. Plus, if we go down there, those cops are going to start pointing their guns at us too. Where'd this new sense of caution come from, boy? I don't know if I like it. Are we just going to watch? If we go down there, I said, read my mind and follow my lead.